Hello, YouTube. Just in case you missed my 2-year anniversary video, this is the start of a series that I wanted to cross off my bucket list ever since I created this channel 2 years ago, that I am calling Keep or Delete. Every month going forward, I'll be picking 5 movies from my physical media collection that I randomly picked up over the years from thrift stores and places like that. Some of them I've never seen, some of them I needed to rewatch, and others have simply just been sitting on my shelf for too long. Then I'll decide what happens next to them. Will I be keeping them? Will I sell them or trade them in for something else? Or will I donate them to a library? This way I can talk about movies that I don't like and why I don't like them more often, instead of only focusing on movies that I do like and recommend all of the time. I'll also be including a bonus pick at the end of each of these videos of movies that I don't physically own, but still feel I needed to watch. These could be recommendations from friends, family, the community, newer releases, older films I missed out on, or anything in between. So with all that said, let's talk movies. Wes Craven's Mind Ripper is a 1995 science fiction horror movie, which I wasn't expecting from Wes Craven at the time of watching it. It's about a group of scientists trying to contain a virus, and it plays out like a mix between The Thing, Frankenstein's monster, and Alien. Except instead of a xenomorph, it's this caveman-like superhuman thing running around, which led to a few unintentionally funny moments. Just from the villain being so over the top when trying to behave like a human xenomorph. At one point, it even tries to do the iconic small creatures coming out of the big creature's mouth scene. So yeah, it gets weird, and not like a good kind of weird, just really weird. I wouldn't call it a bad movie, but it was made for TV, which you can tell, and I did feel its age with this one. The script was very mediocre, as it tries to be a little deeper than it really is sometimes, giving it this "we got Frankenstein's monster at home" energy. It's not scary at all, but it does have a bit of gore that is all done with practical effects. It is nostalgic with a lot of its old tech and lack of cell phones, but it's not really something I hadn't seen done before. If you like talking through movies and making fun of them, like in Mystery Science Theater, you might have some fun with this one, but to me, it's just not worth keeping around in my collection for that reason. Making it the first movie on this channel to get deleted. The version I have was not widescreen, but it did look like it was made for full screen, which makes sense since it was a made-for-TV movie from the 90s that, again, felt it. So I'll probably try to sell it or trade this one in since it's gone up in value, making it more valuable to me as a trade-in than it is sitting on my shelf. I already have Wes Craven's horror collection and many of the other horror movies that he's worked on, like Nightmare on Elm Street and the Scream movies, so I don't really need this. Cry Wolf is a 2005 PG-13 teen horror whodunit. It starts off with a group of friends playing a game that's kind of like Truth or Dare, except it's all truth, that then decide to play that same game with their whole school as a prank after creating a fake serial killer to scare people with, which then turns into a real serial killer, but no one believes them because they had lied about it previously. This one really reminded me a lot of Urban Legend, except it's set in a posh high school instead of a college. It definitely felt like a product of its time, and I did find it kind of predictable, but it doesn't fully play out the way you'd expect. The gore was very mild, to the point where I feel like this movie probably would have been better if it was rated R, because it felt more like a mystery than an actual horror movie. I like mysteries though, so I didn't mind that. With it all taking place at a posh boarding school, it feels like something that would make for a good donation to the library, but I'm just going to keep it around for a bit for people who like horror and mysteries, but don't like a lot of gore or jump scares, just to see how others feel about it. Oh yeah, and it's got Bon Jovi in it as well, so I guess that's a thing. Misery is a 1990s Stephen King adaptation that I needed to go back and rewatch because it's so old that if I had seen it a long time ago, I completely forgot everything about it. I also heard that it was a good winter horror movie, so I really wanted to revisit it over the winter months, which I did. I liked it, but it is an isolation horror movie at the end of the day, And right now, we just went through an era that flooded us with a ton of isolation horror movies for obvious reasons. So I think I may have just picked the wrong time for me personally to rewatch it. It does feel like it might have been one of the pioneers of the isolation horror genre, but even if it was the first one, I just think I'm starting to get a little burnt out from all the isolation horror movies that have been coming out over the past few years. I did really like that it felt like a self-insert on Stephen King's part, socially commenting on crazed fans and the relationship between creators and the audience. So yeah, I'll definitely be keeping this one in my collection for sure. It's definitely a classic. Slither is a 2006 body horror comedy about a meteorite that crashes to Earth with these alien leeches that turn people into squid zombies. Yes, you heard that right. Zombie squid people. The comedy was a bit dry at times, but I don't mind that. And it was gross in a haha, that's so gross kind of way. Though, as silly as this movie got sometimes, the horror still held up. It had a mix of CGI and practical effects, but the CGI wasn't bad, and a lot of the body horror moments were all done practically. I had a lot of fun with this one because it had a lot of well-delivered one-liners that kept me laughing throughout most of the movie. If you like Tremors, then you'll probably like this in a similar way, because it's a lot like if Tremors was a body horror movie. I'm really glad that I own this in my collection now after watching it. I needed to watch it, and now I need to keep it. It'll be great to keep around for people who are fans of body horror, but aren't big fans of modern horror comedies, because it's a comedy from a different time and era when comedy was different than it is today. Yes, it gets weird, but it's a good kind of weird. One that I'm definitely happy to keep in my collection. Upgrade is a 2018 R-rated cyberpunk tech-noir action horror movie. It's about a guy in the future whose wife's self-driving car gets hacked, resulting in them both getting shot, killing her and paralyzing him, until he gets a microchip implanted that allows him to walk again. I really enjoyed this movie, and I can see now why my friend who recommended it to me did. The Tai Chi-like fight scenes felt like something pulled right out of the Matrix movies. Though you could have told me this was set in the Terminator universe right before the machines took over, and I would have believed you. It's not, but it definitely has that vibe about it. The gore was decent. It has some social commentary on the dangers of AI and living in a world ruled by technology, as a lot of cyberpunk stories tend to do. It does have some comedic relief in it, which I enjoyed, but it's definitely not a comedy. My one big complaint is that it doesn't really explain how he develops super strength. But other than that, this movie was awesome. Definitely one of my favorites out of the 5 that I needed to watch, and is definitely one that I'm very happy to keep. And lastly, my bonus pick for this month is Undertone, which is a 2026 supernatural isolation horror movie that just came to streaming on April 14th. That I needed to watch because to me it looked like a scarier version of Monolith, which was my favorite horror adjacent movie back in 2024. It's about a podcaster who skeptically talks about all things creepy when her and her partner receive a mysterious email containing audio files that lead them down a rabbit hole. That almost feels like they're listening in on something similar to the story of the first Paranormal Activity movie. As an audio guy myself, who does a lot of voice work, I was able to connect to this movie in a similar way as I did to Monolith, except this one relies much more on its sound design, with barely any musical score and a lot of ambient noise to build the mood. It is a bit of a slow burn in the first half, but try not to get too distracted while watching this one, because it's the kind of movie that works best if you just hit play and give it your full attention. It's also a great example of how powerful audio can be in horror. Like, if that topic ever came up in a conversation, this would probably be one of the first movies I'd recommend. So I might pick it up physically for that reason, if a physical version gets released. But that's going to be it from me. Once again, this is the start of a new series I hope to start getting out on a monthly basis. So please let me know what you think about it in the comments below, and if there are any movies you think I should check out, please feel free to drop them in the comments, or join our new Discord server. And if you're into B movies, cult classics, hidden gems, and horror, or just in the mood for something different than what the mainstream media has to offer you, like and subscribe. And I will see you again in the next video. Thanks for watching.